ahead. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 7th Board of Supervisors meeting. Could everyone please rise for the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, a couple of announcements. We did have two executive sessions. One was on March 26th to discuss matters of political litigation, in specific a conditional use application and a bid award, and also for personnel matters, in specific a collective bargaining agreement and arbitration proceeding, staff appointments, and personnel on leave. Then we also met in session on April 3rd to discuss a matter of potential litigation and specific and conditional use application. And I did want to mention that this evening's meeting is being recorded for rebroadcast, as we always do. It should be there usually by the next day on our website. And I also wanted to mention one more thing. As you walk in and out, you might have seen the seed library off into the nook there. Today is the last day for it, and that is we are housing it for Yellow Springs Library, which had an unfortunate accident with the tree, and so we are keeping their seed library available to anyone who'd like to use it, and then it's going to move on after tonight. So thank you very much. I don't believe we have any presentations tonight, but we do have a couple of action items. So for the March 17th meeting minutes, can I have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And well, Tommy, are we still able to post that right after? What are we doing at this point with
The minutes?
Yes.
We post it tomorrow.
It'll be posted tomorrow. Okay, so we're not able to do it as immediately as we were trying.
The draft minutes are on the website.
Oh, they were. Oh, great.
They're
Okay.
in the meeting
So,
packet.
okay, I didn't realize that they were on for everyone. So that should make some people happy then, because I know that was one of our considerations.
Is that a new posting? Are we gonna continue to do that?
Apparently it is. If
Yes.
our manager says we can do that, then we're doing that, because I know it's what everybody wanted, right? So given that they are posted and people may have seen them, do we have any questions about the minutes? No, seeing none? Okay, and we are here for conditional use, which I believe you're going to take care of that?
Turn it over to me? Sure,
Mhm.
absolutely. As the board recalls, the matter before regarding the Butterscotch Cafe, the board had hearings on August 19th, a brief matter hearing on October 7th, and then the follow-up hearing on February 20th, 2025 to consider the application for conditional use. And I prepared an opinion in order for the board to consider tonight. It's rather lengthy, but I'd like to just go over what our conclusions were in the order for purposes of discussion. So the board believes that the applicant can satisfy all the specific criteria outlined in the West Vincent Township zoning code to allow for expanded indoor seating. As everyone may recall, the board previously in 2016 approved the cafe for indoor seating at that time and found that the applicant did comply with the requirements of conditional use. So the board finds that at this time, the applicant is asking for expanded indoor seating, amongst other things. And the board believes that it can meet the requirements to do that. provided it satisfies the conditions of this order, which I'll go into in a minute. The applicant has withdrawn its request for outdoor music, so that's no longer part of the application and not going to be decided by the board. The applicant has removed it from its application. And also, the applicant has requested relief to allow takeout service as a permitted use under conditional use standards. And the board has found that takeout service is a permitted use. It's not required. The applicant was not required to seek conditional use because a permitted conditional use is a customary incidental takeout service, customary incidental to a restaurant use. And based on the testimony, it's provided that less than a majority of the customers do takeout. And therefore, the majority of the customers are seated at tables. And there's no takeout window or specific facilities for takeout. It's not a takeout facility like you might find in other places. So the board does not believe that conditional use approval is necessary. Board finds that the applicant can have takeout under its current condition, provided it does not install a takeout window and provided that the majority of his customers still are seated at tables. So having said that, the order of the board, I'm going to read it as we have it. Hereby ordered and agreed by the board of supervisors of West Vincent Township as follows. Number one, the applicant's request for outdoor seating is not properly before the board. The applicant is directed to the West Vincent Township Zoning Hearing Board for relief to allow outdoor seating for up to 30 seats. Two, the applicant's request to expand its indoor seating to a maximum of 56 seats is granted, provided the applicant complies with the following. The applicant provides a parking plan to be approved by the board of supervisors that demonstrates that the applicant will comply with all requirements of township ordinances as it relates to the number, size, and configuration of parking spaces, or obtain appropriate zoning relief from the Township Zoning Hearing Board. Second, should the applicant rely on shared off-site parking to meet the requirements of the Township Zoning Ordinance, the applicant must provide a parking plan that would include the size and configuration of parking and pedestrian off-street access to the front door of the Butterscotch Cafe. All shared parking arrangements must include a recordable parking access easement in a form acceptable to the township solicitor. Three, any plan to expand the parking lot on the Butterscotch Cafe toward the property owned by Stephen Sladek shall include a planted landscape buffer consistent with the requirements of section 31546 of the West Vincent Township Subdivision Land Development Ordinance and section 390-139 of the West Vincent Township Zoning Code as may be applicable. Four, parking on the Butterscotch lot, either parallel or perpendicular to Hollow Road or Rolling Springs roads other than on an approved parking lot shall be prohibited. Five, applicant shall not utilize the Birch Run Mill Cafe property for Butterscotch Cafe patron and employee parking unless the paragraph 2B is satisfied. And 2B was where they were required to have an off-site parking plan and submit that for approval. Six, parking on the Butterscotch Cafe property other than on a parking lot approved by the township is prohibited. Now we're going back to the number of paragraphs. Per section 390-135G of the West Vincent Township Zoning Code, the board hereby grants approval to the applicant to reduce the number of parking spaces required, provided it submits a plan to be approved by the board of supervisors on how it will limit seating to a maximum of 56 seats as between indoor and outside seating, providing the zoning hearing board approves outdoor seating as a result of customer demand that is seasonal and weather dependent. Four, the applicant shall obtain and maintain all required sanitary sewer permits and approvals. Five, the board's decision of June 6, 2016 is hereby amended to allow cooking facilities within the Butterscotch Cafe for cooking and baking, provided the applicant submits a building permit application for BCO inspection of any improvements made after June 6, 2016, after that order, and the applicant shall obtain all required township and other government approvals. 6, per section 390-135G, the West Virginia Township zoning hearing of the West Township zoning code, the board hereby grants approval for an unpaved parking lot. The board decision on June 6, 2016 is hereby amended to remove the requirement the parking lot be paved. And last, the deliveries and trash pickup shall be prohibited before 7 a.m. That is the proposed order of the board for the board's consideration tonight. I just want to say that based upon my review of the transcripts, and you'll see it in the findings of fact that are included with this, that the board had attempted to satisfy all the concerns that the residents had with regard to the use there, primarily parking and the traffic created as a result of the parking. And so the board feels that this is a fair way to deal with what appears to be a very successful business in the area and allow that business to continue provided it shows that it has ample parking. In addition to that, the board felt that where the patrons are parking, clearly, not only are they were illegal, not allowed by our code, but they were causing traffic concern. So the hope is that with additional parking on the Butterscotch Cafe lot, that all will be eliminated. In addition to that, there will be a reduction in the number of seating that once there presently, and there'll be a direct tie between seats and parking. And so as we go forward, the applicant has the obligation to present the plans that are listed in here for both parking and if it intends to try to make the argument that not as many people are there when it's raining, or when it's raining, people are inside, and when it's nice out, people are outside. So that's a plan that the applicant can put forth and make that argument to the board at a future time. So that's kind of the explanation. I think you should entertain a motion in a second.
Absolutely. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the conditions as mentioned or stated.
Second.
All in favor?
Right.
You should
You wanna
ask for any comments first.
Okay,
Okay.
certainly. Do we have any comments from the audience? Would you like to come up? Earl?
Just the enforcement of the existing code, and how did you deal with the shrubs, the landscape screening that's required by code, and the handicap parking and the parking for the adjacent property also co-owned by the owners and used by the post office and other. You haven't talked about specifically.
We did.
Well, the landscaping, there's a requirement for landscaping if they're going to expand the parking lot. This application only is dealing with Butterscotch Cafe. Enforcement with respect to that other property will be with the township to pursue. The only property that was before us is the Butterscotch Cafe application. And the applicant is required, if they build an expanded parking lot, to comply with all township ordinances, which would include required buffering, handicap parking and the like. So we will, this decision requires the applicant to present a plan, parking plan, and at which time the board will consider all of that and make sure the applicant complies.
I appreciate what the board is trying to do, but the applicant has not followed the ordinance. And there has been a lack of enforcement on the part of the township since this was started originally.
Yeah, we understand that. And that,
I don't think you'll find a lack of enforcement going forward.
Okay, they should not be able to operate without a handicap spot that is actually compliant. It has never complied. Ever.
Well,
it has never been, and I only bring that up because every single business must actually follow that standard.
with all due respect, we're not here to discuss in prior enforcement mechanisms. What we're here to discuss is a decision in order, which will require a parking plan, which will need to show handicap parking. And if they don't, then enforcement will take place.
So you're saying it's an unnecessary semantic to point out.
I think it is. I
So
think
what are we gonna do about it in the meantime? Are they going to continue to operate or are they going to comply?
that'll be determined by the board and by the staff on how we're gonna go forward, right? What we're talking about now is this decision based upon this conditional use application. Any other question?
Have your name for the minutes.
Sorry?
Your name for the
My name
minutes.
is Carl Ruffles.
Would you like to come up, Mark? We really should have everybody come up and state their name. Especially for Tommy, who doesn't know you all as well.
My name is Martin Blumenthal. I am concerned that the Butterscotch Cafe is in violation of the state fire safety codes. And I have brought this up to the supervisors and other people. And I don't hear any mention of that tonight.
Well, the decision order requires them to comply with all township ordinances.
I'm talking about a state regulation for fire safety.
I understand that.
They're in violation right now.
Township ordinances bring in the state code. So they will have to comply with all township ordinances, which will,
This is just a comment. In any other township that I am familiar with, if anyone was in violation of fire safety code, they would be shut down.
thank you.
George, would you like to come up?
On behalf of Francis and Neway, I just want to thank the supervisors for all the time and effort they put into this. And we look forward to working with you on the parking plan that satisfies the township ordinance and the needs of the community. And thank you for saving this wonderful treasure that we have.
Is there anyone else that had a comment?
No more copies will be available.
Tomorrow, you'll get a copy in the mail. When we stop by and pick up one, you can.
I think we have a motion on the table.
Yes, for a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, so, our next motion should, be very interesting. We have a motion to appoint Tommy Ryan as our zoning officer.
So moved. And I'll second.
Would anyone have a comment on that? Whoever would like to ask a question, please come up. There are a couple people.
Sarita Silent, 1225 Schoolhouse Lane. Explanation on what will be a zoning officer. What will he be in charge of, or what that exactly does in the township?
Sure. As a zoning officer, I administer the zoning code enforcement and so forth. I'm also the primary liaison to the zoning hearing board, so processing applications before that body.
Okay, thank you.
So you're gonna make the manager the zoning officer.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
That's correct. Every
Okay.
other
Yeah.
place that Tommy worked, he was always the zoning officer, and that was one of the things that we were very excited about having him come on board to do.
So the zoning officer would go out and do the on-site inspections along with the manager's duties.
Correct.
And you're gonna be treasurer or just gonna be manager and zoning officer?
I am not the treasurer, no.
So the township has the position that the manager will liaise with the zoning hearing board, even though the manager has the official position of representing the township in front of the zoning hearing board unless they send a solicitor, in which case they would still be relying on the manager to represent the township in front of the zoning hearing board. You understand the issue here that I'm getting to. There are many choices for a zoning officer, and I don't know that this is necessarily the best way to go when we've already had enough issues with managers over the years. The current temporary member of the board withstanding. I don't think this makes a lot of sense. I really don't. I don't know this individual. I've never met him. I don't know his track record and and that has nothing to do with it. This has to do with it doesn't smell right. And if it doesn't smell right, that's a problem. Because who does he answer to?
It's just to the board of supervisors.
So in the past, the zoning officer answered to the manager. The zoning officer didn't do anything. The manager didn't do anything about it. There were formal complaints and nothing happened. So this is even one less layer of oversight, one more way for this to get a little funny.
It's less layer oversight. It's more direct oversight. The zoning officer and the manager and one person report to the board of supervisors. It's direct.
Carl, I think you're going to find that, that Tommy's background and his history and his knowledge is going to be far superior to any zoning officers we've had here before. Perhaps we could do things a little more streamlined.
I'm
Give it
hopeful.
a chance.
I'm hopeful, but I wanted to bring up the obvious
Give it a
point.
chance.
There is a problem there,
Okay.
potentially. So are we paying him an additional fee on top?
We are
of-
not.
Okay,
No, he
that was the
is part
question.
of his salary. And, you know, this actually will end up being a benefit to us because we're saving quite a bit from the previous salary that we had.
What are we doing for a building officer, building inspector?
Those are two different positions. The
I understand.
BCO is unchanged.
So-
I'm not licensed as a building code officer.
The building officer will answer to you, right?
Yes.
Of course.
Mhm.
So that they're in the same department. I'm just asking about that as well while we have the moment to talk about it. Since that individual's also demonstrated a lack of capacity to fulfill their obligation in the township. So I didn't know if that was going to change soon or not.
We have a lot of change going on right now, so thank you very much, Carl. Appreciate your comments. Does anyone else have a comment? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Welcome, Tommy, and I'm sorry for not welcoming Jim to the other side of the table. So we have a actual full board here tonight. I'm very excited about that.
Me too.
It's great having you all here. The other thing we wanted to do tonight was to appoint Tommy Ryan as a right-to-know officer. And that would be for all non-police right-to-know requests, and Chief Mike Swininger will be the right-to-know officer for all police right-to-know requests. We have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
Does anyone have a question? George?
More of a comment.
George, can you state your?
George Delchinos.
During the minutes. Thank you.
Don't shoot us.
Dulchinos. I just want to point out that, let's say the last 5 or 6 years, township's been very responsive for right to know requests, and hope we can continue that. And I guess lots of transparency eliminates the need for them in the first place, just as a comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, that's also in his salary too, just so you know. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. And we also would like to make a motion for our depository authorization. Would someone like to read that motion for us?
I would like to make a motion to appoint Dana Allen, Bernie Corus, and Jim Windogas as authorized users of all accounts at Victory Bank and S&T Bank, and to appoint Dana Allen, Bernie Corus, and Jim Windogas as authorized signatories for all accounts at Victory Bank and S&T Bank. Does that make?
Yep, that's
Yeah,
great.
okay,
Sound good to me.
so I'm making a motion.
I'll second.
Okay.
Do we have any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Jim gets to sign now. That's great. I don't believe we have any new business or old business. And if anyone has public comment, please feel free to come on up. This is on non-agenda items.
Good evening. Real quick, I've been driving by it for a while now over at Griffith Farm.
Barry deliver.
Yeah, Barry Deliberate, 1012 Pottstown Pike. The spring house next to the pond, big problems. Wall is starting to fall apart. I don't know if you've noticed, but you should go over and take a look. There's actually somebody in this room that I would mention, could probably go over and take a look and advise you on it, but every time I mention him, he loses his mind. So I won't say who it is, but he does have the skills to give the advice on what to do with it. Okay, but you're gonna want to look at it or else that building's gonna collapse, and it's gonna collapse soon. Okay? Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello, Julia Brandel. Is that something that we can use that open space money for? That 25% of our open space income every year to fix that building?
I need to know more about it, but that's possible.
Okay, just something to think about while we're looking at.
$50,000 is gonna cut it to fix the entire building.
No, well, we're talking, he's
Maybe to
talking about a
fix that
spring
spring
house
house.
because it is part of our open space.
Why don't
That
you-
property
let's
is,
investigate. I appreciate being told that there's an issue. Last time I was there, it was adorable, but it's been a while.
yeah, I think Carl's the person that Barry's afraid to mention. Bye-bye.
That public money is drawn for land preservation, not building preservation. You're gonna destroy the integrity of that program by just throwing that out there. It's about land preservation.
We're not planning to do it. We have no decisions on the table for that.
Just throwing it out.
The only amount that we would have the ability to use for anything other than purchasing open space would be around, it comes out to about $250,000 a year. So it's a percentage less the debt service and that's, we have never used it for anything before.
Just pointing out.
Thank you. Anyone else have a comment? Okay, well, our next meeting will be Monday, April 21st at 7 o'clock. That's our usual meeting, and I hope to see you all there. Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.
I can get to bed on time.
Yay, good for you.